Hey everybody, Mike here. Today's step-by-step how to draw tutorial is of Knuckles the Echidna. This is Knuckles from the movies and the TV show, not the video game version. Now the image on the screen is the reference image of the drawing we're going to be doing today. And if you have any requests for any other characters you want to learn how to draw, go ahead and put that in the comment section below and I'll try to make a video for it in the future. Now let's grab the tools we need for the drawing. You're going to just need paper, pencil, and an eraser, pretty simple tools. So let's get into the drawing. Okay, grab your pencil and start sketching a medium-sized circle near the top of the page, a little off-center to the left. Keep your lines loose and sketchy. We're going to be erasing this later as we finalize our lines. Then take a line from the center of the circle, which is going to be his head, and kind of draw it midway down to the page. And then draw two lines on either side of the body, kind of angle them in towards the bottom of the line. Now draw a sketchy line off the bottom of the left side of the angled line and draw a straight line from the other side down towards the bottom of the page, kind of on an angle to the right. Draw a line here, a little kind of a triangle shape at the bottom of that right line in order to create his foot. And on the left side for the left leg, draw a double line with his knee bent, kind of angle it back in as I'm doing here. On his left leg, draw kind of a shoe shape off to the left. Now because neither of his arms are really visible, we're not going to be able to draw his arms. But he does have a hand kind of tucked back in, and he's got his fist pointing forward. So we're just drawing little circles to kind of identify the location of those. I'm doing it for both hands. Kind of look at the reference image and do what I'm doing here. Lastly, we're just going to draw his little bent tail off the right side where the left leg meets the body. I'm going to draw a light curved line across the circle for his face to kind of indicate where the snout's going to be, and draw a curved line from the top of the circle to the bottom in order to create the center of his face. Now let's draw his eyes. We're going to take a curved line up from the center of the cross in the face and curve a line up for his left eye and draw a little guideline for his brow. On the other side, draw a curved line down. He's kind of got a scowl, so his brow kind of comes furrowed towards the center of the face. The eyes kind of meet the snout, so they work together. Draw the underside of his left eye. Finish the eye off by curving a line down at the end. And see how I'm slightly darkening as I'm satisfied with the line location. So he's got brows above both eyes. Going to indicate a little oval for his nose. And continue to form the shape of the mouth area. It curves back up under the chin. The entire process of drawing is going to be slow refinement. We're going to get the major components down very sketchy, and then we'll finalize the lines as we go. I'm going to draw little vertical ovals to indicate his eyeballs. Feel free to erase any lines that are getting in the way once you start to darken and finalize your line work. I'm going to draw a curved line across his face to indicate his mouth. It kind of curves below the nose and then curves back up towards the eyes. Now this drawing took close to an hour to complete, so feel free to stop the video, pause, and catch up if you're falling behind. There's a lot of refinement and erasing and redrawing. I'm going to darken the nose up here, and I noticed the nose shape is not really an oval, it kind of projects off his face. So there's kind of a flat end on the right, and then it projects off to the left. Notice how his snout kind of curves slightly over the nose area. Now the movie version of these characters are a lot furrier, and they look a little furrier than the video game version. So keep the external lines sketchy, the perimeter of his body, his head, because they're going to be furry. And you'll notice as I finalize the detail, I'm putting that detail in there where it's kind of jagged. It's not just a straight, smooth line. I'm going to start taking some lines down. He's got those kind of dreadlock kind of things coming off his head. I'm going to curve it back up around his head. Now we're going to start forming his body. You notice he's kind of puffing his chest out in this pose. His body starts out very wide at the top, but as it goes towards the leg area, kind of narrows down. We're going to take the dreads on the other side of his head as well, down from the eyebrow area, and kind of curve down, and then curves back up under the chin. Again, keeping these light lines loose and sketchy, especially since the texture of his kind of fur body does not require a smooth and straight line. Now his left hand's kind of balled up in a fist in a punching motion. You don't even see his arm in this, but you got to know that his arm kind of comes off the shoulder area, but because it's projected towards you, you don't see it behind the fist. The nice thing about his hands are they're not individual fingers on his hands. He's like wearing boxing gloves. So he really just has kind of a balled up boxing glove, which is pretty easy to draw. His thumb curls under, and then he's got a couple of spikes on his knuckles. So we're going to curve his thumb down and up off the left side of his hand there. I'm drawing this line to kind of indicate where the shadow is as it tucks under. And these circles indicate the little spikes that are on his knuckles. Now that I've located his hand, I can kind of draw the other dreads on his head. Again, his body is very wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. It's kind of like a chili pepper shape. So I'm going to always taper it down. He's got a little white colored ring around his neck that goes down his chest. So we're just going to indicate that. I'm going to start finalizing his legs. They get slightly wider as you go towards the shoe. Again, his right leg is bent at the knee, and his right foot is more of a side view. You'll notice I jump around a lot because I see things I want to fix. Right now I'm going back to the top of the drawing and working on getting his head completed. So we're curving a line from his right eyebrow up and around down his dreads that kind of hang behind him. We're going to draw his tail. Again, we drew the guide for his tail. Now we're going to draw a double line. It comes to a point, but it's kind of a zigzaggy shape. It tapers at the end. I'm going to start working on his right hand, which is again balled up in a fist. His shoulder's behind him, so is his elbow, but you can see his fist coming off the side. You're going to see the thumb and the curled fingers. Again, he doesn't have individual fingers. It's like he's wearing boxing gloves. So you'll just see the thumb tucked under, and then this line represents the edge of the fist. Again, think of a boxing glove, and then that line curves up and around. And then in this case, the spikes are going to come off the right side of his knuckles, pointing to the left. Now I'm making a note to myself because this left hand, this balled up fist hand coming towards you should be larger because it's in the foreground, it's coming out towards you. So I'm just making a note to myself to remind me to go back and enlarge it. So now we're going to start drawing his boots. So his right boot, again, a side view. He's got a kind of a sock that kind of goes up that his legs go into, and we're just drawing basically a cylinder around the end of the leg. I'm going to draw the heel by taking a curved line down, and at the front of the shoe, he's got this metal piece at the top of his shoe, and the shoe curves out around it. So we're going to take a line off the top metal part, curve a line around, and then curve a line down towards the heel area. The foot is basically a wedge shape that has curved lines on it. And then we're adding the detail for the different color areas of the shoe. And then we're going to draw the sole by just curving a line around and following the edge of the shoe. Keep in mind that there's a heel that drops down and then curves back up there. Now, you'll notice I turned my paper. This is to get better pencil control when I'm drawing. Now, where the right shoe is kind of a side view, the left shoe is kind of more of a front view. And I was actually concerned that the shoe would fall off the page, but I was able to fit it on because the shoe from a front view is a little taller. Again, feel free to go around, clean up the lines as you're done with the guidelines from the initial sketching phase at the beginning of this drawing. The reason I use the brush to brush away the eraser shavings is because this pencil tends to smear on the paper using kind of a softer lead, and as you rub your hand across the page, if I was to brush away the eraser shavings with my hand, I would tend to smear the pencil and it would make the page darker. So I use the brush to get the shavings away. So the front view is a lot different. It's more of a wedge shape from the front, kind of a triangle. But the shoe from the front view follows the curve of the leg as it goes down. It's like he's pushing off with his left foot. I probably could have used an extra inch at the bottom of this page just to get that shoe a little longer than it is drawn. I'm going to go back and erase that fist on the left hand and redraw it. Make it larger this time. If you were able to get it the correct size the first time, I applaud you. But again, it's trial and error. If something doesn't look right, feel free to erase and draw again. This is complete refinement from the original sketch. Same basic shape as before, but much larger than it was. So we're going up back to the face area and kind of working on finalizing the lines, getting them a lot more solid, erasing a lot of the sketchy lines from the beginning. Everything's getting a little darker and more final. I'm redrawing his cheek because I think it projected a little too far and wasn't curved down enough. This is where the thin eraser comes in handy, is when you have a really narrow area. In architecture, we use a little metal device called an eraser shield, which has little slots on it, but I find it cumbersome to use on a drawing like this. So a thin eraser really helps out. Sometimes I feel like I do a lot more erasing than actual drawing, but I never get the lines exactly right the first time. So this is just my process. Let me know in the comments if you draw this way or if you just get your lines really solid right off the get-go. I'm going to go back to the head area and try to finalize the top of the head. It's very dome-shaped. And with the dreadlocks, and again, I don't know if they're dreadlocks, but I'm going to call them that because that's kind of what they look like. So I erased the head and went back to make it actually wider than it was originally. And then one thing I noticed when I was drawing this is that I want to make sure that there's a little indicator that the arm from this fist hand coming forward towards the camera, towards the viewer, actually connects back to the body. So I will kind of put a little edge of the arm below the thumb. Sometimes when I have to draw a line that curves behind something else or goes behind something else, I pretend to draw the line through the item to see where it comes out the other side. That's what I'm doing here. The reason I use mechanical pencil rather than a regular drawing pencil is because I like the consistency of the line weight. I use a 0.7 lead. I do have a 0.05, 0.07, and a 0.09. I rarely use the other ones. I really like the 0.7. I think it's a good width, a good thickness for drawing, whether I'm sketching or doing final lines. But using mechanical pencil gives me a consistent line while I'm drawing. Plus, you never have to sharpen it. So we're getting pretty close to finishing. Got a lot of the detail of the entire body in the drawing. There's a little bit of cleanup to do still, and I gotta finalize the shoes, but it's starting to look like a final drawing. It's looking pretty good. Here's where I erased one of the dreads to kind of get the arm coming off the body there. So that little curved line kind of represents the armpit area. Add some finishing touches to his tail. Again, it's still furry, so it's got those jagged lines to make it look like fur. Thinking if I had more room on the paper, I might have made his legs a little longer than they are, but they look okay. When I do drawings like this, I usually try to draw the whole body at once so you can kind of see where everything goes, and then I just add the detail later, and then I kind of work from the top to the bottom. So now we're getting to the shoes, which are the last thing to finish up. But it's always nice to have that guide there to kind of make sure you know what the drawings looks like before you get to the final line work of the drawing. So those little metal pieces that are on top of a shoe kind of look like Lego pieces. I didn't spend the time drawing the little rivets at the top, the little buttons at the top. Those were kind of extra details that I didn't add into this drawing. You know, you take some liberties with where you add detail and not, just to simplify the drawing. I chose not to draw that in this case. He's wearing what looks like hiking boots, so it's kind of weird that he's a speedster and he runs wearing hiking boots. I thought that was kind of funny when I was drawing this. So I'm picking areas to thicken the sole, mostly at the toe and at the heel, and then it thins and tapers towards the start of the heel. You'll notice there's a little wedge upwards there. So that right shoe is pretty much done. The left shoe, I'm going to finish off the sock. Again, it's important to make sure that the leg goes into the sock area, wraps the ankle area, and then blends right into the shoe area. Erasing some of the sketchy lines from the beginning of the drawing. And because he's pushing off his toe, the front of his shoe, his toe area, is going to look flat, but then it curves up and angles up towards the leg. I had just enough room to get that shoe into this drawing without it cutting off at the bottom of the page. I use the big eraser to do general cleanup. Even though I try to, I still smudge pencil across the page when I'm moving my hand. The big eraser is very good at cleaning up those large areas of white around the perimeter of the drawing. The sole of the shoe just follows the contour of the toe of the shoe and just curls back up around it. You don't see the back of the heel in this case, since the shoe is front facing. I tried to flatten out the front of the toe to make it look like it was pushing off the ground. And then I just followed the sole of the shoe with the contour. And as you can see, just barely enough room to get that sole in there. Just do some final cleanup on the drawing, but it's pretty much done. Let me know how your drawing looks in the comments. So here's the final pencil drawing of Knuckles. Hope you found this helpful and easy to follow. If you have any comments about the way I explained it or things I can do better, go ahead and put that in the comment section below. I'm trying to work out different methods for the best way to explain how to draw these characters. Again, I do take requests, so if you want to know how to draw any characters, put that in the comment section, and I will try to make a video for that character in the future. If you're dying to watch another how to draw video right now, check this one out right here.